Ba boom bum ba boom bum bum ba ba dum bum bum ba boom ba boom bum.
I'm a Paltiel.
Thank you. Yes. You are participant number 1.
No, I had this morning. I have it muted. It'll turn on.
Okay. Okay. So we're on top of page Beis. We're trying to identify minutely, so to speak, the inherent supremacy in the mitzvah of tshuva over all the other mitzvahs. And after all attempts of explaining, it surfaces back the principle that no matter of what level the mitzvahs can reach within the rotzin, but the primary power and the primary significance of mitzvahs is their relationship to the metzaveh, to the commander himself, not what aspect of rotzin they represent, but the metzaveh ha-mitzvah. And from the perspective of metzaveh ha-mitzvahs, there's no difference. They're all coming from the same metzaveh. Therefore, how do we identify the Yisro in the tshuva al kol ha-mitzvahs? V'yesh leimar, what can be explained in this is the chol ha-mitzvahs, that all the mitzvahs harei hamshochoson v'giluyon lemato, they are the fact that the mitzvahs were nimshach from their source, and they ultimately came to be expressed here below, in the presence of a mitzvah. That which brought the mitzvah out here, hu mibchinas gilui horotz. This is from the aspect of gilui horotz. Meaning to say that the fact being that there is a gilui rotzen, and that the metzaveh has a rotzen to be begili, to be in the world, and from this rotzen anim shechol the mitzvahs. It is true that it's all rooted in the metzaveh himself, but hamshachoson v'giluyon lamato, what do they represent as mitzvahs here below? It is the fact that there is a rotzen for mitzvahs. Gili, there's a gili horotzen. It is from the fact that there is a gili rotzen, that there is a revealed rotzen to be here lamato. The fact that within this there is also the koyach hametzav, clearly, because the rotzin represents the metzaveh. Harei zeh behelem. That is behelem. The koyach hametzaveh is like the background. That is not what is involved in the functional element of the mitzvah itself. The functional element of the mitzvah is identified with rotzeh, that he wanted that there should be mitzvah, he wanted there should be a lakus in the world. the koyach hamatzava itself is behelem in the mitzvahs. And we will be able to understand it more clearly, more definitively, when we get the contrast as it is in Shuvah. V'zehu, this principle, that the mitzvah element in the mitzvahs is behelem, that is pointed out from the fact shebemitzvah is tzorich liyes kabolas eil malchus shamayim, that for mitzvahs there has to be the principle of kabolas eil malchus shamayim, of accepting the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. What does this mean? We'll see in a moment. And as the saying is, Kablu malchusi, v'hakach kablu zoyroisai. Accept my rulership, my reign, my kingship, and then you'll be able to accept my gzeres, my commands. U'k'maimer, and also as it says, Lama Kodma. Thank you. Why was Kriyashma, the Pasha's Shema Yisrael, preceded? Why do we preceded before we say Oyim Shemeya? And the answer is Shekabel Olav Eil Malchus Shamayim Tchila. That before you Mekabel the Oyim Mitzvahs, you have to be Mekabel Oil Malchus Shamayim, the kingdom of heaven. Everybody understands what this refers to, right? You say Shema Yisrael, we have to. That talks about just Ahavas Hashem, nothing else. Kabbalah Shem Malchus Shamayim. V'hoyim Shemeya, it talks about accepting the mitzvahs. Why do we say Shema before Hoyim Shemeya? Because before you say Hoyim Shemeya, you have to be Kabbalah Shem Malchus Shamayim. And why? What is the significance of this? Why we need Kabbalah Seyam Malchus Shamayim? I know, and that is mitzat koyach hamitzaveh sheben mitzvahs. In order to incorporate and bring out the koyach hamitzaveh that's in the mitzvahs of the commander himself, tzorich liyes Kabbalah Seyam Malchus Shamayim tchilo. There must be first Kabbalah Seyam Malchus Shamayim in order to recognize and to include and to relate to the mitzvah, to koyach ha-mitzvah shebe mitzvah. There has to be Kabbalah Seyam Malchus Shamayim. And we'll finish this line and then we'll stop for a moment. Mikol mokoim, but yet still, Iker ha-mitzvah hi bechinas gilui horotzah. The principle of the mitzvah is the inyan from Gili, is bechinas Gili Horos. So this is a kind of a splitting of hairs principle, but when you focus into it, and especially if we're going to go in understanding how things are in Shuvah, we will see a quite sharp contrast. The Yikir HaMitzvah, the mitzvah represents in the Gili Horotz. Because as the Gemara says, actually, Ma'yikpas li'HaKodesh Baruch, what difference does it make li'HaKodesh Baruch? What difference does it make to the Meibushin? Im shechet min ha'atzav or shechet min ha'erev. Whether he shechts from the neck, from the throat side, or from the neck side. What's the difference? Ma'yikpas li'HaKodesh Baruch. Lenit ha-mitzvahs el tzar beis habriyos. Mitzad the Rotzen, the Eibishter wanted to participate and be present in the world, and that present, this in the will of this presence. Mitzad the mitzvah ha-mitzvahs mamish makes no difference. But in order that the will should be present, for that there has to be a difference. If you do it in a final way, in this way, the will is there, and if you do it in a different way, then you are not, you can't relate to the Rotzen, to the Rotzen, to the Gili HaRotzen.
Do we have a mashal for how for him it makes no difference? And by his Ratzon it does make a difference?
Everything.
The king wants this.
Everything. The classic moshel, it's not a moshel. The classic illustration of that is that you can do tshuva. How do you do tshuva? As we're going to see, the tshuva bypass the whole process of the rotzen, and you go straight to the mitzvah.
So usually, if you think of a king and he wants something a certain way, it matters both to him and to how it's going to turn out. Here it doesn't matter to him. Lo akhpat lo.
The truth is that I don't know if this is going to help us at all going there, but if you go there, the truth is that a king also, it doesn't bother him. If he's truly a king, if he's a madriga, he can be king. He wouldn't bother him. There's a pasuk in Mishnah, Shmomis biodeho titofes v'hi behechel melech, which means that you can have a cobweb, you can have a spider spiraling in a cobweb right in the middle of Hechel Melech, in the king's palace, and the Melech is completely oblivious to this whole thing. Because he cannot be touched by anything. The reason that the king does respond to things that are negative to his will is in order to establish the kingdom for the benefit of the kingdom, benefit of the people that he's ruling, but not for himself. So this is why we say, okay, so mitzvahs, this is all been tadgili horotz. Because there was a gil expressed rotzen, a gili rotzen that came to be expressed, that this is what he wants. That's why there is a need for mitzvahs. And in order to incorporate into this the mitzvah ha-mitzvahs, this is why we need to have Kabbalah Seil Malchus Shamayim Tchila. So that in Kabbalah Seil Malchus Shamayim, you're focusing not on the mitzvahs, you're focusing directly on the mitzvah ha-mitzvahs. And that way you're correlating the rotzen to the mitzvah, to the command. But the mitzvahs themselves, is mitzad gilu harotz. V'yesh loymar, in conjunction with this, it can also be said and explained, shezeh inyan, that this is also the principle she'omru b'matan Torah. That the Yazal say by Matan Torah, that the statement of Matan Torah is kabdu es ha-mitzvahs shehein shluchai. You should respect the mitzvahs because they are my emissaries. Harei, which clearly states shehein k'mei shluchim. The mitzvahs are like emissaries. Shehu bechinas gilu levad, which shluchim means this is the expressed presence, the gilui of the Mishaleach, not the Mishaleach himself. And then he says in parentheses, rak, except the bishlichus, the mitzvahs, eimashom. I mean, when we talk about the shlichus of mitzvahs, it says that ushluchei shalodom kimeisei. Yes, they are shluchim, but we have the cloud that shluchei shalodom kimeisei, that the shlich of a person is kimeisei, is like himself. And by mitzvahs, this is very strongly emphasized because lihiyoisam bechinas ein hadovek b'ho'etzem. Because that the mitzvahs are the oil hadovek b'ho'etzem. Mitzvahs represent the rotzen, which is oil, the oil that is dovek b'ho'etzem. We now know what that means. Oil hadovek b'ho'etzem, and this is why we say shluchim shlodem kimeisei. It's like he himself is present. Because at the end of the hemshech we pointed out that the oil hadovek b'ho'etzem is k'moi ho'etzem, and it has all the qualities of the etzem itself. But yet still, yes, it's representative of the etzem, and it has all the qualities of the etzem, but it's not the etzem itself. It's in a shliach form. Shluchus Lodem Kimeisei means that whatever the shliach does, it's like the person himself would have done. But we know, for instance, by mitzvahs, this is more emphasized than normally shluchus from Kimeisei. Normally, shluchus from Kimeisei, there is a limit to that. There are certain things, like the shliach can put on tefillin on you, but the shliach cannot put tefillin on himself, and that should be considered like you put on tefillin. Things that pertain to the very essence does not translate in shlichus, even though shluchus shlodem kimeisei. So in kimeisei, the haklal in halacha is that it's only in things that have a chalois, that there is a secondary result from the action. But the action itself is still the shliach. There are many examples, just to give a very mundane example. If the shliach, he was a shliach to purchase, to make a purchase, and he made a purchase and he overpaid. So by the Mishaleach, if the person himself buys for himself and he overpays, there are different grades. If he overpays more than a sixth of the value, then the whole deal is nullified. If he overpays less than a sixth or up to a sixth, they have to adjust a sixth. You have to adjust the difference and so forth. If a shliach overpays, no matter what he overpays, the whole deal is off. So a shliach has its limit. He can only do that which is for the benefit of the Mishaleach. He cannot also harm the Mishaleach. The Mishaleach can harm himself, but the shliach cannot harm the Mishaleach. So there is still a distinction. That is in normal shluchah shalom kimeisa. By mitzvahs we say there is a special emphasis in the union from shluchah shalom kimeisa. Kabbalah is a mitzvah we say shluchah. Because by mitzvah this is oy bichinas oyer handovek behoetz. Which means, as we mentioned, and that's what we explain later, that the whole principle of mitzvahs is representing the inyan, that the etzim came to express itself, like we said later on, but the inyan ha'oyer is. So therefore, mitzvahs are actually representative of the etzim itself. Like, for example, in the mashal that I gave now of purchasing, the reason a person goes to buy things, to purchase, is because he's going to be benefiting from it, not because he has to make a purchase. There is no such rule that a person has to make a purchase. He makes a purchase because of the subsequent benefit from that purchase. So it's like him, and he has the power to do it, but it's not hadovek b'ho etzem, it's not representative of the etzem. But mitzvahs are shluchas shalom kimeisei in a true sense. It's because they're actually representative of the etzem itself, mitzvah ha-mitzvahs. And here I have to explain the following point. We learn later on that what is the union of oir? Where does oir come from? Atzmos doesn't need anything, doesn't have anything. What is the union of oir? The union of oir is that there is a rotzen, and in Atzmos there was a rotzen to represent himself in oir. Whatever that means, we discuss when the mission come to that. And therefore, we said, since this is oil that is created by Atzmos, and Atzmos chooses to represent itself in oil, therefore the oil is representative of what Atzmos is. Because Atzmos is the one that conceived, so to speak, and invented the whole oil. From itself, no external, no secondary causes at all. Therefore, what kind of oil was created? An oil that is representative of Atzmos. Mitzvahs are likewise rooted in Atzmos. Atzmos has that rotzen, and this rotzen is rooted in Atzmos. And therefore mitzvahs is also representative of Atzmos. And this is what we say, shluchah shalom kimeisei, because mitzvahs are in the rotzen Atzmi. Nevertheless, Mikoma gave him shluchai. What is the point in this? So we have to go back. I made the emphasis, but perhaps now we'll have it clearer. By the top line, what we recited today. The chol ha-mitzvos הרי המשכוסם וגילויון למטו מבחינת גילוי הרוץ. The mitzvahs themselves are rooted in atzmos, in etzem harotz. But their presence here lemato, hamshachosem v'giluyin lemato, is from gilui harotz. It is an atzmus that requires that it should be begilui lemato. Because there was gilui harotz, and that's why there's gilui mitzvahs lemato. So therefore, even though the mitzvahs are attacking mitzvahs coming from Oyah Hadovig HaEtzem and so forth, they still have a secondary stage. What is the secondary stage? The Gili Horotz. Not the Rotzin as it is rooted in Atzmos before it's Gili, it's after the Gili. This is what brings about that there should be Hamshachas HaMitzvahs.
Rabbi Paltiel?
Yeah.
When a person buys something, we said that doesn't even represent his Ratzin. Is that correct? When a person makes a purchase, that doesn't represent him. Is that what we mentioned?
No, I didn't say that it doesn't represent the Ratzin. He buys it. It's not compelling. There's no compelling element that he must be making a purchase.
And therefore, what do we know?
And therefore we could see that this is not him. But mitzvah is actually rooted in the person. The only place where we can, so to speak, come to a similar inyan of mitzvahs is, as we always speak about, is the purchase of real estate. A person buys a piece of real estate for his own dwelling. And the Gemara says, Odom shein lebayis ein le'odom. So in this situation, provide his own place in the world, that actually relates to himself. That actually is a representative of his very presence. This is not just a functional element. And we explain all the time that a home is not just a place to sleep in. You can sleep in hotels. A home is the reality, the place of the person in the world. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand clearly Gili Haratzin as opposed to
Gili Haratzin?
Yeah.
Gili Haratzin is, like we said just now, that the oil came as a result of the fact that the Ratzin came to be Gili. There's no inherent oil in Atzmos. We learned. It took us half a year to learn that.
I mean, I know that there's a difference between the way it is, Etzem himself, as opposed to the Gilui Etzem. But is there a way that is there a more concrete mashal?
What you mean?
Is there something to bring it down? Like
yes. I mean, we said that the Gilui Etzem, is because Etzem wanted to have a presence. Etzem doesn't need to have a presence.
Presence in an environment that's not Etzem. In other words, an environment that's
no environment. In the environment of the Etzem, to have a presence, that he should be identified with a presence rather than non-presence. The Ayin. A presence that allows for further Giluyim, a Tzimtzum, and so forth, a creation. How did you understand this whole thing that we learned? Okay, so we'll get there.
The Ratzon itself.
I'm sorry?
The Ratzon itself is not itself in Etzem. It doesn't need a. What's the difference in Gilui Ratzon?
Gilui Ratzon is what is a creation. There's nothing compelling that the Ratzon should be Gilui. Nothing, it's all volitional.
The Ratzon itself?
The Rotzen
Atzma
itself, the presence of the Rotzen that we discussed. The Rotzen itself, this is part of what we call Shleimus Ha'atzmus. Truth has a Rotzen that it should be for truth. This Rotzen is not an add-on to Atzmus. Okay. We have to recognize that when it comes to Etzem, especially when you're talking about even Etzem HaNefesh, even Etzem of the sun, we can't understand the principle, the concept. Atzmus is something which to understand and to have a grasp on it, and if it were possible, then it would be not talking about Etzem. Etzem and world are categorically apart. World, as we discussed, that's when world had to come at Tzimtzum. World, everything is cause and effect. Everything has a source. Everything has a reason why it's there. There's no Etzem. There's no primary existence in world. Etzem is a primary presence. A completely different category of presence. And the only reason that we can even speak about that and we can have some kind of a connection to the idea is because we have a nefesh alitis, we have a nefesh atzmi, and the nefesh, and we have koyach hachochma that can relate to that etzem. This is why we can even conceptualize this. But in essentially, to understand it in worldly terms, is a misdirected thinking. So you say Atzmus is just Atzmus. Any Atzmus, there's nothing compelling. There's nothing compelling that he should have a Rotzen. Nothing compelling that he should be Gil. Rotzen should be Gil. It's all volition. And from this volitional Rotzen was created an Oyer, and the Oyer ultimately was further developed to the point that it should be a world, for the purpose that there would be that the Atzmus would be present in the world through the mitzvahs. Through the mitzvahs. That's mitzvahs is shluchim. Where are the mitzvahs shluchim? In the Gili Horotzim, not in the Etzem. In Etzem, this is all part of the Etzem. But in terms of the mitzvahs, in the Gil in the mitzvahs, Hamshachosim v'Giluya Lamata is in the form of shluchim. And therefore, they have a separate presence besides the Mishalech, besides the Mitzvah. They relate to the Rotzen, to the Gili Rotzen. And in order to relate to the Mitzvah in the performance of mitzvahs, there has to be the preceding element of Kabbalah's Oyel Malchus Shabbat. I'm afraid if we go any further, we're going to lose it completely. What are you trying to grasp? One second. Forget about grasping. Do you understand the differences of what we discussed?
About Gili
Horotzen, Hamshachas Horotzen.
At this moment, they're words to me. I'm not relating to
Okay,
what
so
we're talking
think about
it. Okay.
There's the we learned this, and this is nothing new.
Okay, it's maybe different.
Okay, so wake up, Mister. Say my Dani. Say Bechazat Torah. That I cannot help you. I can't put a head on your shoulder. I can explain to you what your head should understand. This is, I'm just pointing out the precise language here. Hamshochosim v'giluyim lamato on the very top of the page is from the Rotzen, from Gilui HaRotzen. Not their origin. Their origin is like in Atzros. But the mitzvahs, as we have them here, are shluchim. Okay, we have to interrupt now. Okay. One day. I didn't hear anybody come in. I assume somebody was
I'll try to work on it.
Huh?
I'll try to work on it. See what to think about it.
Yona, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Nasan Zachar.
Video.
Alaska Kiva explain it.
I don't know. I mean, there's a very simple. There's the deep, but there's very simple is that the command is the commander reveals what he wants. That's what I don't understand. There's a very simple level that is just simple, and that's really easy to relate to. And then there's a depth. Okay, so what is the difference between the Ratzon and the Ratzon the way it is revealed in the command? But there's a simple level, and if you lose sight of the simple, you go with no barrier. There's no orientation, just like floating here.
Yeah, I'm trying to relate to the simple.
The simple.
Well, we have to start having an announcement in the Just want to say this. I'm facing you now. You see me now?
Yes.
What's the difference?
That you're not facing me.
So what's the difference? Come on. What's the difference?
You're not relating to me.
The same me.
That's Gilui Rotzen when he's relating to us. Okay, that was helpful. That was helpful. No.